What the?
Hello, Internet, and welcome back to another oh no, there it goes again. Welcome back to another. Welcome back to another professional episode of Makers on Tap. We're very experienced podcasters. Talk about their lives.
That's the thing we are.
We certainly try to be. I shouldn't have started reading that thing that you posted as we started, because I did. I think I literally got 3 comments into it, and I started bursting up laughing, being like, "What the hell is going on?"
Yep. For those that can't figure out how I broke Chris, I posted a forum thread with some really good entitlement in it, and it was funny. And I broke Chris's brain. Probably should have waited to post that. That was funny.
Yeah, no, that was just my bad timing. I'm really sorry. You were right. You even said, hey, you should probably wait till after the podcast to read that. And I was like, oh, just bring it up. It's it's not going to be too much. And then just started reading it. And I was like, what is going on? Oh man, that was too funny. Oh man.
How have you two been doing? Jinx.
I'll pour you a hot tea.
I was just gonna say you owe him a hop tea. That's amazing.
Oh, I've been busy. Basically since we got back from MRRF, which that is something that we should absolutely talk about. I've been pretty nonstop with work. This has been the first week where I actually am back and I don't have a trip planned in the future. Because the last 2 or 3 weeks I've been immediately Monday morning I'm out and immediately on work sites that are not in my area, which I'm super loving. But this has been the first week that I've been able to be back and actually start working on stuff. And lo and behold, I have actually been working on maker type stuff. In fact, the R2 that I've been trying to work on, and who very faithful listener Sam, you know who you are, has been reminding me since he's been listening to the podcast in chronological order. Was like, man, you said you were going to start on R2 2 years ago. Yeah. I actually made attempts this week to try to start R2, because that's been one of those things that I've been talking about for a while. That's the intimidation of starting a new project that has not only is there a level of intimidation starting this project, there's a level of intimidation to get it exactly right. Because essentially I am building one of the most beloved robots of all time. And I feel like I'm going to get judged a lot on it, for how I do things. And so just even starting that project is so intimidating to even start.
But why don't you go ahead and give yourself permission now to iterate and mess up?
Or not. Just who cares?
Well,
that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Exactly, it is. But
you want to build an R2, just build an R2. Build it the way you want it. Make it Chris style.
But there's so much to learn in this.
Well, yeah, no, I would essentially be learning robotics from scratch.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that I don't know going into it. A lot of the programming that they're used for, a lot of it's already out there and it's pretty plug and play. But it's a lot of Arduino based code that although I have some playing around in Arduino, I would be learning a lot. And certain I would say it is definitely a step up for more electronics work than I'm used to, especially since I would be using 24-volt motors. I would be having to have a, like, most likely a 24-volt system coming in and then stepping that down to 12, 5, and 3.3. And so I would have to learn how to, like, do all that, do fuses, do regulators, all that kind of stuff. And, like, although I know a fair amount about a good amount of that, this is a completely whole thing. And so that has been the intimidation of, like, I feel like there's a certain level of I'm supposed to know this, and I don't.
But there's no I'm supposed to know. You've never built an R2.
When were you supposed to learn it, though?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and there's no time you should have learned it. The best time is now.
And, like, even with, like, there's all the things you just said, but, like, the thing that you've been starting on this week was printing. Right. And, like, just because you've printed with a smaller format printer or your SLA printers doesn't mean you've done large format printing. It's a whole nother ball game.
Right. And that's been the thing that I've been running into this week is, like, there was this whole funny thing of, like, me convinced that I needed to use this profile for printing these parts because they are very specifically created parts to be able to print without having to use supports. And that's their big claim to fame is, like, you do not have to use supports if you print these parts with this profile. And so I've been like, oh, I need to do this. And then Joe comes and takes a look at it and goes, there's nothing special in this profile. Like, this is a completely normal profile. He's like, yeah, like you could do this. But then we found out that my printer had some things that needed to be fixed on it. So now I have to wait. Even, like, I got the courage up. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And you know what it mainly was? I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was the confidence that came from printing Loki. That came off looking slick. And I was like, I'm happy with this. Like, this came off looking really good. You know what? Maybe I can print R2. And then I started to do it. And it was like, fuck no, you can't. Go sit back down.
I was really, really blown away at how good those belt prints looked, though. Like,
yeah.
Like, I went home and started messing around with the belt printer immediately. You know, granted, I haven't plugged it in yet, but I moved it from a bench to the bench where it will get worked on. So
like, I think it was said pretty early on that this is mainly a printer made for two purposes, and that's small batch manufacturing and cosplayers. That's essentially who this printer is made for, and it works really good at that. I essentially printed a 2 scale from the MCU Loki staff for my partner who is going to be cosplaying Loki at C2E2, and it came out first try. Like, obviously, I absolutely need to give credit where credit is due. Though her settings did not work for me, Billy did an amazing video explaining how things worked in relation to each other. And because of that, I had a better understanding and was able to level it myself. And so that was amazing. And I give her full credit for that, for me being able to actually get that working. But once I did that, right away, it started working. And I was like, this is phenomenal that it is working this well. So I've been just continually cranking parts off and just going. Like, I've already run through a full roll of PLA in basically like 5 or 6 days. Just, like, haven't let that thing stop printing.
That's awesome.
So I will also give credit where credit is due. IC3D, your filament is fucking bomb. And I love it. I wish you would sponsor the podcast so I could say that and get paid for it, but I'll say it without it. Filament's fucking bomb. And wow, I'm forgetting names and I feel like a dick. Claudio is a fucking bomb for coming out to Makerfest, or not Makerfest, Murph, and selling that to me. And it came in clutch because he like got me a whole bunch of it, and I was really excited. So
Hopefully,
am happy.
we'll get to go see Claudio at Rapid in just a few weeks.
I'm
You
really
said that's
sad
the week before Milwaukee or a week after?
Before.
Okay, I might be able to go to that.
It's during the week, though. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So
there's a possibility I could go to that.
Yeah.
I'm really sad that IC3D is discontinuing those thermoforming pellets that we bought.
Dude, I don't think they
it's
should discontinue them. I
mean, it's a supplier issue. They couldn't find suppliers, they said, but man, it's such a neat product.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and they've had it forever. But I don't think anybody has embraced what it does until recently.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't either. I just saw the potential.
And that's the thing. That was the thing, and like that ticked me off was like he was telling me that he was like, yeah, we're discontinuing it. We're just trying to offload as much as possible. And I was like, why? And he was like, people just aren't buying it. And it's a product that you have to play with before you figure it out. 100%, you have to have it in front of you and seeing what it's doing, like doing it through a video or doing it online. I feel like it's impossible to sell the true potential of what that does, because like for cosplayers, that thing is fucking gold. Like you could mold so many things so quickly and just be good. And yeah, no, they like it's frustrating.
So they come in like a jar or like a packet, and they look like those your standard like plastic pellets for like a pellet extruder, but they melt with like hot water or boiling water, and then you just kind of put them in a bowl and melt them, and then you can mold it with your hands into any shape or form. Then it can cool. But the neat thing is that's reusable. So whatever you make with it, you can reheat it up and then remold it. So it's kind of like a bit more industrial. Tech.
Yeah. TECHTACK.
Yeah, it's like a more like industrial like Sugru. If you know what Sugru is, but it's like a more industrial application of that.
Well, and that's it. Like the phenomenal part of it is when it does get hard, like it's hard. Like we tested it and we were able to drive rivets through it and it didn't break. Like it was good. So like
it's real neat.
Good. And like it sucks that they're having to do that. I get it when you have something that cool, but nobody's going to truly understand it until they actually get it in person. It's hard to sell something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had our first guild meeting since not post pandemic, but like in recent history. That was really fun. Yeah.
Anything exciting come out of that?
So we essentially talked about like what the future of the guild looks like. What are people wanting in the near future, like the guild to actually do and all that. And a lot of people are excited for recent events that we're going to actually have coming up. We've got QuadCon that we're going to be at, which is in September. We have PeoriaCon that we're going to be at, which is in August. And then we've already gotten re-invited back to the Peoria Symphony Orchestra for the John Williams events. Nice. And then people are really wanting us to come back with classes and start teaching classes again. So that's definitely happening. We're definitely like doing all that. But essentially this was kind of like a state of the guild kind of meeting and seeing what people wanted, where they wanted us to focus and all that kind of stuff. So it was really good. We had it at the new location. Everybody was kind of excited to see the space and have a lot of space to be able to spread out and actually utilize for work area and whatnot. And then we're going to be participating in First Fridays in August. Yes, August. Yeah. I had to think of, or maybe it's September. I can't remember. But we're going to be participating in that as well, because the place where we're meeting at is a artist studio. But they give us a good amount of space for us to be able to do fun stuff. So
Nice.
we're going to be participating in that and all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah, so things with the guild are going really good. Things with projects are going pretty good. I can't complain too much.
So where is the guild going as far as direction? Like out of those discussions, like anything interesting, like maybe share some of the inner workings if you could. I'm curious to hear.
Yeah, so there was actually a couple people who were interested in like what would a payment structure look like, and that immediately I kind of shut that down. I was like, I'm not ready personally for us to go to that and me to invest that much time into something like that. So that was an interesting discussion, especially because we've been having somewhat similar discussions in our Discord. But essentially what the guild kind of settled on was we definitely want to continue to recruit people, and we definitely want to continue to educate people. And those are the two main focuses that we have, is allowing pursuing more cosplayers to help uplift cosplayers and educating cosplayers on how to improve their crafts. And so those are kind of the two goals that came out of it that we really want to focus. Events are really fun and really nice, and that is a way for us to attract new people. But there seems to be a very high emphasis on classes, and us being able to actually teach and show people how to actually do different things. So we're really excited to do that. There was a lot of people who we kind of talked about like what would basically a membership look like, and I kind of said that I didn't feel comfortable doing it because I didn't really have the tooling necessary to be able to facilitate what I would feel a membership would warrant. Like I didn't have all of this stuff for them to actually be able to utilize. And that was a really interesting discussion in and of itself, because a lot of the people were like, we're not really interested in that. We just want to continue to support the guild, and we want to find a way to do that. And I was like, oh, well, that's another conversation. So,
do you not remember the first 2.5 years of River City Labs where we didn't have functional tools and people paid us membership dues?
I mean, I was one of those. Yeah. Like we had the 1 mil in the back, and we had a semi 3D printer that kind of worked, but everybody just basically had their own 3D printers at home, and that's what we basically worked off of. Even before we had the actual closet, we had the broom closet, which was basically just some signage that we pulled out of there to be able to say like, oh, hey, we're here tonight. But people still paid, and they paid that same rate for quite a while. So I don't know. I don't know what that looks like for people to be able to be a part of. I don't know yet, because there are certain things that would be very beneficial. Right now, the guild kind of exists as its own entity, and I don't say how much money it makes. Because it doesn't make a whole lot of money. I will say, for legal purposes, it makes under $500 a year, and it does not generate any revenue above that. It is never have, and as much as I can make it, it will not do it as long as I can. But there are benefits that would come from us being a 501c3, mainly stuff like marching in the parades. We actually found out that some of the parades that we would love to march in and troop at don't charge 501c3s to be able to participate, but do charge other organizations. Because we are not a 501c3, we get charged for those. There's certain things like that and other things that we could be a part of that would get tax-free benefit and charge, like stuff like advertising for free and all that kind of stuff. We would get those, but there's a lot of extra work I would have to put into it if we wanted to go that route, because unfortunately I don't have a Fred. yet. What really needs to happen is I just need to make Fred a Mobius cosplay and just have Fred come join us.
If you steal Fred, we're gonna talk.
I've had a handful of accounting classes. I could probably figure it out.
I mean, technically I am going through, like, I have QuickBooks and I've been learning my own accounting for my own business. So I have to imagine if I just got QuickBooks like he did for 501c3, but there's a lot of refile stuff that he says he has to do so often that's the stuff that I am trying. Like, I don't know if I would remember to do that or if I would be able. Well, like, I know I would be able to, but the amount of work it would take to put in mentally to have to do that on top of my side job, on top of my normal job, on top of my relationship, on top of.
Well, that's why you hire somebody.
Right.
Either a lawyer or an accountant. We talked about this a little bit on the Discord recently. Like, it's a really good idea to have all of that stuff be a separate person from the person who's running the organization.
Yeah.
So that you could walk away one day if you need to, or
right.
There's a whole bunch of reasons why you should do that. But, if you need resources to figure that stuff out, you don't have to rely on River City Labs to provide that. The city of Peoria has all kinds of things like the Small Business Association and all of those things that like exist inside the entrepreneurial incubator things inside Bradley. Like, all of that stuff exists for you and it's free. Like,
we should talk about that more, because the only one that I knew about was this Distillery Labs kind of opening launch thing. And I was really excited about that just because I was like, I get to go in as actual, like, gray tech, and I can network.
And you absolutely should do that. But there's also, there's a whole like small business association / resource center that exists inside Bradley that's free to utilize.
We should absolutely talk. I had no idea.
Bradley's great.
Financing and just like somebody to ask these questions to that knows them.
Do you know how much I was intimidated to like file paperwork for the longest time, because you had a really nice friend who I can't actually remember her name, but that's fine. Zach's wife. You had somebody awesome to help you through that process, and I was intimidated as fuck because I was basically going through Zen Business, trying to make sure that everything got filed correctly. Luckily, it did, and SEFQ actually approved like me getting an account and everything like that. But I was intimidated as fuck because I really didn't know who to talk to about any of this. I didn't even know how to file myself. It's really been a learning process because I did all of that, and then I had to go get business insurance, which that was a whole thing. But luckily, the people I get my normal renter's insurance and motorcycle insurance also do business, and I know him. And so I was able to just walk in and be like, give me business insurance, and he did it, and he was amazing. I love Cam. He's fantastic. I know Cam doesn't listen to this, but Cam, you're amazing.
Like if you not just talking to you, Chris, but if you're listening to this and you have all these questions, most cities have these resources, and the first places to always check are if you have an economic development council. They are almost always free to go talk to and talk about these things with. The other one is just your local chamber of commerce. Like, they're always a good place to just walk in and say, I want to do this. What resources do you have available? And they'll point you in the directions of these things. Like, all of those people know each other in these communities. Yeah. It's a relatively small group of people. And if you're in a fairly large community, like Peoria sized or bigger, there's a really good chance there is a group of business owners that are there to act as mentors. And not necessarily be investors or like angels or whatever, but just mentors for people like you that are trying to get started in a new business, have these questions, need somebody to just, ask a question to. It's those things exist. So, it's always intimidating to just get started in that stuff, right? So you have to find those people. The arts organization that we are connected to, Arts Partners, the one that partners with River City Labs to host Makerfest and Ignite.
Excuse me.
We have a yearly event that's called Business of Art. It's purely a one-day conference to introduce artists to all of these things in the area and take down all those barriers. And free to attend and everything. So
nice.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things where it's consistently I am feeling the intimidation of starting things. That's been my current struggle, if I had to place it on anything. So yeah, so that's how I've been doing, and I've been talking for 26 minutes. If you like me talking, cool. I'll shut up for the rest of the time.
We often hear that we don't hear enough from you, so
yeah,
those people should be happy now.
Whoever's saying that, I complain a lot.
What have you been up to, Aaron?
Well, let's see. I've been working on a couple things. And when I say working, I mean mostly not doing much, like at all. But I have a couple projects like in the back of my mind most of the time. But I've been doing my best to try and practice actually relaxing after work and on the weekends and not worrying about keeping up on projects and stuff, trying to just relax. But the few products I have been working on I'm very excited about. So if you saw our live stream at MRRF, there's a kid there that printed and designed his own Clone Hero guitar for it's like a Guitar Hero open source clone. Yep. And it was a lot of fun for one thing, because I spend most of my high school days playing Guitar Hero, so I have a very emotional attachment to it. And
we all learned that. That was amazing.
It was a lot of fun. So as soon as I got back from MRRF, I booted up Fusion. I started sketching up my own fully printed guitar controller that can be fully printed on the CR30 in one piece, mostly. So I'm very excited. It's a V. I don't know what the V style. Flying V style. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's all like nicely aligned on the center axis, so it's just nice and identical on each side. So I got that design mostly done. I'm at a point where I'm trying to figure out how to add like pockets on the inside of the body to add components and add like an access panel, stuff like that. Like I've never done that sort of design before. Also adding all the fret buttons, at the top of the fret bar. Those will need its own pocket and access panel, but also have like a channel through the middle of the neck to run wires through. So it's the electronics
big design project.
It is. It's probably one of. It's definitely pushing my own, my own skill set. And since it is a bigger project, and I wanted to play it now, I went on eBay and I found a broken Xbox 360 guitar controller for like $30. And there's a used market for these controllers, and they go for over $100 each in working condition. So, you got one?
I really wish I would have known that
for a while,
because I just got rid of one.
Oh, dude, like they all sell for a lot of money now on eBay.
Oh yeah,
this was a Wii one, so I don't know.
Wii's are not as much, but the Xbox and PlayStation ones, like. The Xbox one especially, because Xbox has a dongle that will work specifically with like Windows really easily.
Yeah.
They go high. What used to be the play was to go to like Mega Replay, and they didn't know what they had, and so they just had a bunch of those. for like $5, and people
I
would just
remember when
go
they
in
had
there.
like a whole rack, like a whole
Yep.
guitar rack.
Yeah,
that was cool.
And now they know what they have.
Yeah, that's the thing. No one's making new guitars though, you know. So that's why I think this project has some merit. But you know, I wanted something now, so I bought a broken guitar for $30, sight unseen. It's like the note said it freezes the Xbox screen when it's plugged in, but I didn't care about that because once I got it, I had to buy a new Torx screwdriver to get it to fit. But I ripped out all the old electronics, at least the old control board, and I traced all the wires for all the fret buttons, so I knew exactly where they went. And I found the traces for the strum bar switches, and I put it all on an Arduino Pro Micro 5-volt. So it's 5-volt logic, and it's running the Atmel 32UF chip, which is the same that the Leonardo uses, which I used for that touch screen Stream Deck that I built. So we can actually output keyboard presses like an actual keyboard. And all the Clone Hero uses, the default controller for a Clone Hero is a keyboard. So all I need to do is emulate a keyboard and I'm set. So I bought this broken controller because I wanted to prototype the electronics, make sure it would actually work before I put all the effort into modeling it. So I finally got it working last Friday. It was kind of really jank put together. Had wires coming out everywhere, but just that Arduino and some really simple code. Like it's just a bunch of if statements. Like not super proud of it, but it worked and it works very well. So why not?
Yeah. Right.
So it's just a bunch of if statements. Like if the fret button's held down, press the key down. And when it's up, release the key. And just that for every button. And same for the strum bar. And same for the start button. And that's it. And it just works. So like even the multi-chord stuff just works because it's stupid simple code. And I love simple code.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited that the electronics just work. Like I was real jazzed that everything that I anticipated just worked. So I'm like, wow, that was simple. So that was a freebie. So now I have a controller that works. And now that I know the electronics work, I'm going to start working on the actual design and get that ready to go. Because I think that'll be a lot of fun. I'm starting to investigate. I'm trying not to take it too seriously, but making some like maker projects that I can sell. Not to generate like income to live on, but income to pursue more hobby stuff with and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to play with that idea because like I have a lot of trouble spending money on myself for like hobby stuff. But like if I can, if somebody wants to buy a widget from me and that widget sale can afford me to buy a new printer or buy some cool new tools that I can, not feel guilty about splurging on, then it might be a worthwhile endeavor. But again, I don't want to like ruin the fun,
Yeah. Taking a note out of our friend that made the Mecha Jesus' book.
Yes, exactly. Very much so. I need my own Mecha Jesus.
He eventually just put the files up for free because he's like, guys, leave me alone.
It's like, I'll tell you that Clone Hero, like, even if you do give it like open source and give it away for free, but having a donate button that could go to that Discord, I don't know if you're in that Discord or not, but it's freaking huge.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
Like the Clone Hero Discord, I actually have it pulled up right here. I got a bunch of song packs already, and like some people have done some great work on a lot of like some of my favorite power metal bands. I was very excited to have some Rhapsody of Fire on there. I was so thrilled. Online currently, there are 36,664 people. That's online.
Oh my god.
That's not.
It's a big community.
Offline. Yeah.
Like Guitar Hero was like it was a whole thing when I was in high school. Like everyone my age was playing Guitar Hero. That and Rock Band.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you about that being in high school and
I know
Guitar
you
Hero because I was living on my own playing Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
And Rock Band. I had my own apartment when Rock Band came out, so nobody could tell me I couldn't play the drums, except for Josh because he was my roommate and he had to sleep.
Oh man.
Yeah, so Guitar Hero controller project. Also, I'm starting to look into some silicone mold making. I want to start doing some kind of like one-off metal castings for fun. Looking at doing some custom jewelry for myself, like some earrings and some rings, and just the idea of coming up with an idea in my head, sketching it out in Fusion, or maybe do something fun in OpenSCAD or CAD Query. Print it out in resin, or do it in resin, or print it and then do a mold and cast it in metal. Do just like with tin, or one of the low melt point ones, just for fun. I've been starting to look into that. I haven't gotten too far in that either, but I started watching all the YouTube videos. So I guess in the next episode or two, I might have some more to talk about that. But it just sounds really neat to be able to have an idea in your mind and then just be able to manifest it like that using all your skills you've accumulated so far. It's quite rad.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it is. And that's why I felt like almost crippled for the last 2 months, because my shop has been in such shambles and I haven't really been able to use any of my tools. So it's been really frustrating to have all that capability and then it goes away.
I've made some progress on my garage workshop, kind of. Got all the drywall down, got all the old insulation out. Currently working on throwing it away each week in the garbage, doing that thing. But I finally got a quote for an electrician to come out and add a bunch of outlets and circuits and kind of fix it all, because I found out that my house is just a lot of circuit sharing. They didn't a lot of instances where they didn't really want to bother making a new circuit, so they just found the nearest junction box. So they're complete. So my garage is shared with the kitchen and one other thing. So they're gonna completely separate the garage, and then I'm gonna get 2 or 3 actual individual circuits in the garage and some stuff like that. But they're booked to September, the first week of September.
That's not bad.
I want this done before my next child comes, which is 8 weeks.
Yeah,
I'm not ready.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be done, but that's fine. I've done all the manual work. The rest I'm contracting out. But it has been sad not having access to all my fun tools out in the garage.
We should talk about that, because if you just need to add circuits in the garage and your junction box is in the garage, that's like a half day.
Yeah, my circuit panel is in the garage and it's all right there.
We'll have to bribe Josh to come out and hook it into the box, because I'm not doing that. But we could pull Romex and put up conduit and put up Chris hung out with me while I put up outlets in my garage. It took an hour. I put up 4 outlets. So, and I didn't run a whole new circuit, but I ran everything. I ran the primers for a new circuit. So,
yep.
Yeah, we can maybe talk about that. Yeah, because I had them quote that, and I'm redoing that basement theater room from scratch. So I tore that down. There's a lot of janky wiring in there as well, so they're going to fix that. But the garage stuff, maybe if we could get that done faster, then it just needs drywall and insulation back in it.
Yeah,
it's already heated and it's already mostly clean. All my stuff's still in it, just all crowded in the center.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, it'd be nice, because it'd be nice to have that done before the end of the year. It'd be really sad to have to go another half a year before I get a workshop again.
Yeah. Boy, I really know that feeling.
So about you, Joe? You've got stuff going on.
Oh my god. Yeah. So we came back from MRRF, and I knew that I was getting a new laser cutter, but I didn't know when I was getting a new laser cutter. And the laser cutter that I was getting was kind of up in the air because it was work provided. So I didn't have a plan. I just knew it was happening eventually. And we got back from MRRF and immediately got a notification that, hey, your laser cutter shipped. And it's this one. It's huge. And so it was, and I got like part of the notification was, will need forklift. It was like cryptic freight tracking number, customer will need forklift. And that was it. That was all I got. And I was just like, why do I need a forklift? It says that I have liftgate service. What I learned is if the shipper says you need a forklift, you need to listen.
Yep.
If the freight company says, nah, you don't need a forklift, you should probably still have a forklift when the freight arrives. But good luck getting the freight to arrive on the day they're going to show up. That was the other thing that we learned. So we came back from MRRF, and I immediately had to gut half my shop. So like earlier in the year, half my shop got gutted when the mill and the robot came and had to move the 4x8 CNC router. And I moved the laser to the other side of the shop. And it basically just didn't work from January up until about a month and a half ago when I started with Lightburn. And I all of a sudden needed a laser that worked in my shop. So I got it working again pretty quickly. But it was never ducted for exhaust right. I never had the air assist ran again. So I've been running air assist off my compressor for like 2 years now. So every time I needed to use the laser, I had to go like pull my main shop air reel over to the laser and like hook my laser back up, and it was a thing. So I never like redid any of that because I knew this other laser was going to come eventually. So then all of a sudden we had to completely clean out one half of my shop, disassemble the old laser, and dispose of all of the stuff that I could dispose of and keep back for spares for all of the other parts. And they kind of do it in a hurry because we got back from MRRF on the 28th and the laser was supposed to arrive on the 30th. And it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like a week and a half waiting game where Chris and Aaron kept showing up because the freight company kept promising that it was going to be there the next day, first thing, and that I didn't need a forklift. And kind of in the back of my mind, I knew what laser cutter I was getting. It was a 1400 millimeter by 900 millimeter bed. That is, the machine footprint was like 78 by 60 inches. So I knew this thing was huge. But nobody could tell me how big the crate was. So I had no expectations on how big the crate was. Like the laser manufacturer couldn't tell me how big the crate was. T-Force Freight couldn't tell me how big the crate was. Nobody knew. It was really weird. And so it finally shows up 2 weeks late. And Chris and I walk out to the truck, and the driver's just kind of chuckling. And he's like, I don't know what we're going to do. But
well, it showed up in a semi.
Yeah, it showed up in a semi.
Very much not meant for your neighborhood.
Yeah. So I knew it was going to come on a semi. It was coming LTL. Yeah. So I knew it was going to come on a semi. I didn't know it was going to come on a full length semi. LTL usually comes in like a half length truck. No, this was a full on semi in my very rural neighborhood. Luckily,
he had a couple close calls with power lines.
Yeah, the trucker had a great sense of humor. He was great. But I had done some pre-work ahead of time and had arranged with a local welding shop to unload it for me if I needed it. And luckily it was like a welding shop that was owned by an old retired guy who was just awesome. And so I called him and we were able to unload it at his shop. So we had to have the trucker follow us to the shop and then go get another trailer and bring it to my house. And yeah, that was the whole thing. Lesson learned: when the machine seller tells you need a forklift, you need to find a way to get a forklift to your house. And I'd actually tried, but all of the forklift rental places didn't have forklifts available in the times that we needed them, which was interesting. One of them was just, they were like, well, we're not renting any of our forklifts currently because we need them. I only need it for like 3 hours. Can I just come get it, bring it back when you guys are... So, yeah. So my shop went from being like really full of stuff to the side with the laser cutter now. It's like a really nice work area. I painted it. I added a whole bunch of outlets. I built a new workbench this week. It's significantly different than even you guys have seen. I put up a TV.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah, it's nice to be in now. But the rest of the shop looks like your shop, Aaron, where like everything's like in the middle. Because I had to move everything. And just in the last night or so, I've been able to move all of that stuff and start getting rid of things and sorting all of that stuff and like getting all the stuff off the top of the big router so I can like start to work in the shop again.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. I had to go grab my drill from the other side of the shop yesterday, and I didn't have to step over or around anything. And I had this like moment of dissociation where I wasn't sure where I was because it was like so clear. And like the stepping around stuff had gotten into muscle memory because I'd done it so much recently that like I stepped around nothing and I was like, shit, where am I? Oh, yeah, I cleaned. Okay.
You're just like, you look like you're dancing around a clean shop. You're just like,
yes.
What would normally be a pile of crap. There's nothing, but now you're just like doing random body movements.
Yeah. Like I had this aisle that was like 1.5 feet wide between a wire rack and a whole bunch of plywood that was like stacked up in an area where that was the only way to get to the other side of the shop. So, yeah, the last couple of weeks have just, this whole year has been like shop rethinks and like how to be more efficient in my own shop and what I really need. Like one of the big things that was really holding me back was I had a huge material rack, and I was going through that material rack about 1.5 weeks ago, and I pulled out a whole stack of full 24-inch by 48-inch sheets of 1/8-inch acrylic that had no cuts out of them. They were brand new sheets. There was like 4 of them. I was like, this is like $200 in acrylic that I don't know I have. Like I bought acrylic and I didn't need to because I had no idea it was in that rack. And so I was like, all right, this rack is no longer serving me. It is gone. And now a lot of the material that I've been saving, I've either given away, gotten rid of, burned, because was so much material that like I moved from my other house when we moved here 8 years ago. I don't need it anymore. It's time to not be a hoarder.
Yeah.
It's not serving me.
Yeah. I found myself kind of challenging those same like scarcity mindset things, like I too hoard a lot of my technical hardware and components. Like I started to put things into clear totes and organize them, but I still have a lot.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just scared to get rid of it. 'Cause it's like, I don't want to have to buy it again. But you know, I could just buy it again.
Yeah,
it's just scary.
There's the I don't want to have to buy it again. Can I get it again?
Yeah,
and if I get rid of it and I need it, I'll have to wait for it. But the other side of that is, if you don't know you have it, do you have it?
Right.
So if you're not like super organized and constantly cataloging your backlog of crap, do you have it? And
how much acrylic did you order, having those sheets behind the material rack? Yeah.
That amount of acrylic multiple times.
Sheesh.
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And you know, literally when I took that rack down, I found enough acrylic and 2020 extrusion to build my entire mill enclosure.
Nice.
So like, it's all sitting by the mill waiting for me to get everything else organized so I can start focusing on building the mill enclosure. Like, that's the thing that's going to come. So
yeah.
So that's mainly what I've been working on, is just been making it so that I can exist in my shop. I know a bunch of people are waiting on milk crate updates. The files are finalized. I don't foresee any changes coming in my next build up for verification. So I've pulled all the STLs down, and I just need some time to put them on GitHub and take all of the pictures that I took during the build for the MRRF machine and put those up in a semi-guide. And then we can start doing the next thing. I don't know what that is. I haven't gotten far with it. But once we put all that stuff up, I think it's good to just release it, and then we can just start having discussions.
Nice.
And then we can take those discussions and figure out where we need to go from there.
Yeah.
So we need to get your machine done.
Yes, we do.
I need it out of my way now. I don't have anywhere to put it now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Half of it's still in your garage.
So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I'm really excited to get the stress of holding all of that back out. So,
yeah, I've been feeling a bit of that too. Even though I don't have that many, like it was just the Guitar Hero project, but I've had all the milk crate parts sitting here since like the week before MRRF.
Yeah,
I placed them all down on the floor, and I haven't touched them since. But like just that pressure, it's like it's just another thing that I committed to and I haven't finished yet, and I also dropped a lot of money on. So like it should get done.
Yes. And when it does get done, you'll have so much fun with it. Hopefully.
I will.
I'm really excited because Vince Ramirez has gone back to making cut recipes for the Shapeoko. And this week he put out a bunch of stuff cutting 304 stainless on the Shapeoko.
Wow.
If the Shapeoko can cut 304 stainless, the milk crate can cut 304 stainless, because the milk crate's stiffer and uses the same spindle that he's using.
Nice.
So, like,
alrighty.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty jazzed about that. So it'll take a little bit of like low profile work holding figuring out. Honestly though, if you are willing to spend $200 on a Saunders mod vise, it's figured out for you. You just have to add a couple bolt holes to the aluminum plate, and then you can run a mod vise. So
neat.
I should just buy one of those, because I want that for the mill anyway. Different day.
Yeah, why not?
Because it's money.
I'm not going to discourage you. You came for the wrong place for discouragement.
Yeah, especially for that stuff, right?
Money isn't real, Joe. Money isn't real.
Well, so the real hard part with things like that is like, it's $200 for the vise. but that $200 enables capabilities that will enable other money-making opportunities or better efficiency in the shop.
Yes.
So it's like you spend $200 on that, but it's a $200 investment into your capabilities.
Right.
And the other side is like tooling doesn't lose value. Like that $200 mod device, you could sell it for $175. So like if it doesn't serve you and you don't screw it up, you can turn around and resell it quickly for a minimal loss. And I don't know. That's how I usually think about those things, especially with like machinist tooling. That's a really big thing that you can. There's always a market to buy it.
Yeah.
And if you take care of it, there's no reason why you won't be able to resell it. So, speaking of, anybody has any 6-inch Kurt Vices that they're willing to sell for, a reasonable amount of money, I'd be interested. Yeah.
Vices are expensive.
Vices are so expensive for like the minimal job that they have to do. The vice I want is like $700.
Yes. Yes. Like it's like such a foundational tool.
Yeah. But it's such a big deal. I finally got a really nice bench vice from Devin at the Akron space. And I'm so excited to have a really nice workbench now to mount that bitch to.
Mm.
And then I'm going to go and get a vice bender brake, the little guys that mount on the jaws, so I can finally start playing with that. Because I don't have room for a full-on brake in my shop.
Fair enough.
One day. Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, I've been so exhausted and burnt out since MRRF. Like everybody came back from MRRF and was so inspired. Like Adam came back from MRRF and immediately started diving into this like crazy giant printer build that he's designing. And I came back from MRRF exhausted. And it was like I wanted to post that I was like so excited to see everybody and have all these interactions. And I came back from MRRF and I was just like, I don't want to talk to anybody. And I don't really want to make anything and I don't really want to do anything, but I have to do these things to like tear the shop down. And that made it even worse. And now I'm finally getting back into a thing where I have energy towards those things again after almost a month. And yesterday we had our annual board meeting for arts partners. And board meetings are something that always kind of gets me down because I've always kind of felt like an outsider on especially that board, because that board's made up of like prominent people in society and like people that dress better than me. Like, you walk in and you're like, oh yeah, even though you're an artist, like look at you, you're like put together. And I'm a 36-year-old child. But it was really exciting to go in there and talk about the future of Makerfest and why I think Makerfest having a future is a big deal. Because like I'd gotten a call from our executive director that earlier that day, and she was like, can you give a couple talking points super short on why you think Ignite and Makerfest are great? And I always hate those things, like that prompt. Because then I like think about it and I'm like, oh. And I've been so burnt out on maker spaces and maker fairs and everything in general. But when I came in, I thought back to MRRF and how great it was to have everybody in the same room again. And like MRRF this year was absolutely not about the public. Like MRRF has always been like 700 or 800 nerds in a room talking to like a couple thousand of the public every year, right?
Right.
We didn't have the public this year. We had a few, but MRRF this year was about the community reconnecting and reaffirming the relationships, reaffirming the interest in the community. And, for me, it was like reaffirming that, this is kind of like an imposter syndrome thing, but like reaffirming that after 2 years of not seeing these people, that these people are still the same people. And like, we're still friends and
they still want to be friends.
Yes. After
yeah.
not having this thing, we're not just friends because of this thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I talked about that at the board meeting and how powerful it was, and how I want to focus next year for MakerFest on reaffirming those relationships for our community, all the artists, all the makers in our community, and focus more on making the show for the creators instead of making the show for the community to see the creators.
I think that's really nice.
Yeah.
Like, I've been getting tired of the same, we've talked about this in the past with like maker fairs in general, where the public's like, oh, well, that's neat, but someone did it on YouTube already.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, but I put all this work into it, and I learned a lot, and I'm proud of it. So it's like, if they're going to be like that, why have the public involved? Why not just have more of a, you can come see it if you want, but we're not going to hold your hand and explain to you what I did. You can just appreciate it for what it is if you want to.
Yeah.
We're going to hang out, and we're going to hang out as a community instead.
So like, almost what I see it as is like, instead of a show, have it as a symposium. And like I think back to my first real experience with something like this was, as a kid, I was really into reptiles and breeding snakes and lizards and everything. And I got to go to a national herpetological symposium when I was like 12. And it was in Peoria. And somehow I convinced my grandparents that it was a good idea to just let me go to the symposium alone. and like, it was semi-sane because, the symposium was being hosted by our local herpetological society. And these were people that I'd known since I was like 8. Like, I grew up in this community, and there were a lot of people that I looked up to as like father figures type people. So it was like, it wasn't completely insane to just let me hang out in this convention center alone for an entire weekend. But, it was open to the public for very short periods of time. But most of the weekend was just focused on the community and the experts talking and like, having keynote speeches and stuff. Like, it was really focused on the internal group, the people that wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that sounds really nice.
That was what MRRF was this year.
Yeah.
It was the people that wanted to be there. There was nobody just wandering in.
Yeah.
And I want that next year. And I'm trying to figure out the right way to pitch it, specifically to arts partners, because I think all the maker people will get it. They'll understand why. So I need to keep on this.
Yeah, MRRF was extra special for me this year as well. Just for the same reasons, catching up with some old friends that I talked to a lot, before the pandemic. And then when I got burnt out last year, I kind of cut all ties with everyone except maybe you two. I'm just going to disappear for a while and stop existing for a bit. And, just to go back to MRRF, and everyone just picks up right where we left off. And it was just so comforting.
Mm-hmm.
It was real nice.
I think that's also the ADHD. Like, we just forgot the year and a half just happened, and
I mean, is that or maybe just a global trauma?
Yeah. The last year and a half just didn't happen. I literally saw you 2 weeks ago. It's fine.
Something like that.
All right. I think I'm out of things to ramble about. Maker Symposium.
Yep. Maker Symposium.
Midwest Maker Symposium.
Got to do it. We should do this more often.
Same time. Same bat,
yeah.
Bat time. Same bat place. Yeah. We should. Because I got all kinds of things to talk about.
Fair enough.
Like the Conscious Maker Collective.
Oh, God, we didn't even dive into that.
It's okay. It needs its own episode.
It does. Could we have a symposium on the Conscious Maker Collective?
I think that's the perfect idea. Because it shouldn't just be my idea. It's our idea.
Aye, comrade.
It will be our space.
All right. I'm done. I'm walking away.
Fair enough. Let's do this.
All right,
Keep
guys.
making stuff.
Keep making stuff.
This is the end of the podcast.